Hello and welcome to this evening's From the Shadowborn. Apologies for not having my green screen up, but you guys get to see firsthand the new set that we will be using. It's a real set. So I'd love to know your opinion on it. It's too late now. I've already filmed some videos for this Friday on it. But you guys get to see it first. So there you go. There you are. Good, as everyone in the chat is saying, Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. It's very nice to see you all. Good evening, hello, and welcome to you, and you. And that's basically just to Frederick Schmidt. And then good morning to Jeff Williams, Mark Kayworth, hello, Josu Ramirez in the Caribbean, I assume. Hello to you as well. Good to see you all here in chat. And there's just Flippity also saying good morning. That puts you in the States, most likely. And so, yeah, we're going to get on with this one-on-one role-playing. I'm going to let the show run for a little bit now. We did open it up a couple of weeks ago. Actually, before I start talking, Brian, hello. How are you doing?
Good. I'll throw in my 2 cents. I like the set behind you.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I won't go into the screaming and swearing and cursing that went into the whole LED thing and all that kind of stuff. It was supposed to be much better wired, and I discovered I am not an electrician by any stretch of the imagination. I blew up a strip of LED lights, and apparently that's not even supposed to be possible. But they got really hot, and then they stopped working. So I don't know. Right. So yes, we opened up the game last time we played, which seems like ages ago. And so we have picked those that will be joining. Now I will announce those later on because everyone needs to get time to join in, and some people don't get messages that this has started. So as of next week, we will be starting the new batch, hopefully that's still to be determined, but there you are. Oh, I see we've got Wisconsin, we've got Louisiana. That's fantastic, all of them. I'm always blown away by time zones. I mean, it's what, 1 a.m. for you, Brian? Something silly like
2 a.m.
2 a.m. for you. So you've experienced all of Wednesday, and you're actually starting to experience Thursday. Here I sit in the evening of Wednesday, and there's people still having sort of midday lunch elsewhere in the world. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, we are continuing now our single one-on-one game, and so we shall sink ourselves into the world that you see before you. This is the kingdom of Utherios, where our brave hero Raj has been running around trying to solve a mystery of some kind, and it has led him to the city of Piketon, I believe.
Correct.
I don't know why that's popped up. It has led us to the city of Piketon, which I had thought I had set up. And within Piketon, he journeyed into the Temple of Death. The Death Circle is worshipped in that particular temple. And after rummaging around, he found that a certain individual by the name of Utherios may or may not have been dealing with things that he should not have been dealing with. This led him down into the crypt, where he confronted Utherios, and after some dealings with a rather confusing shade, has managed to render the young acolyte, or old acolyte actually, because he was in his mid-40s, unconscious. And so we find ourselves suffering from flashbacks, and then we find ourselves in this dark space because I didn't move the grid across to have a look. So let's see. There we are. Oh, look. Suddenly we are in Temple as the map loads up. Now we are using a combination of Dungeon Fog for the battle maps tonight, as well as Wonder Draft for continental stuff, and then Waterbow for city maps if we do encounter them. And this is where we find ourselves. That shade that was lingering has now left you alone with young Utherios. You are in the crypt.
Been freed.
That is correct.
Servitude.
What are you doing?
All right. I believe that I need to go tell the abbot what I have discovered.
Are you leaving Utherios down here on his own? He's unconscious at the moment.
I will fireman's carry him over my shoulder up to the abbot. Not a good idea to leave him on his own.
All right. With some struggles and basic exertion, you managed to take him upstairs to the abbot. That's not a problem at all. Well, you take him upstairs. Finding the abbot's a different story, but the moment several acolytes see you carrying an unconscious form, they will quite quickly alert the abbot that you are around, and you are ushered very, very quickly away from all the festivities. You can see the first rays of sunlight starting to stream in as you are carrying this individual to the abbot's private rooms, which you've been in before. The abbot looks at you, looks at Utherios. So you have found the evidence that you were seeking, then, I take it?
Yes, that and much more. I have found, if not the exact whereabouts of the priestess, the reason for her supposed disappearance. This acolyte was communicating with her through some scrying magic in the catacombs, and I did not want to take his life, but I will let you decide on the consequences for his actions. But it seemed as if the priestess was offering him some kind of power for taking over the artifact from you.
He betrayed the artifact to the priestess? Or, no, the priestess betrayed the artifact to him?
I did not hear them speak about the whereabouts of the artifact, but I overheard him speaking that if he were to take the artifact back once it was delivered, then he would be somehow rewarded. It did not sound good.
It does not sound good at all. Do you know where the priestess is?
I was not able to see her location, no.
He looks from you, he looks to Utherios. He waves his hand in a circle and then punctuates it with the holy sign of the circle of death. And Utherios' eyes open vaguely. Before he is fully conscious, the abbot looks at you. You lead the questioning. He might respond better to someone who is unfamiliar.
All right. So, tell me, Utherios, where is the priestess?
He looks to the abbot. You can't trust anything that this cat is saying, surely, abbot. I have been here longer than almost anyone. May
I remind you that I spared your life and I could take it back again very quickly.
He looks to the abbot, who nods and looks at you. You wouldn't murder an unarmed man, surely.
That is, just remember the seriousness of your situation, and it would be to your advantage to answer truthfully. There are many things that can be done without dying.
His eyes widen even more. Give me an intimidation check with advantage.
19.
He kind of slinks back. If I tell you what you want to know, he then points at the abbot. I get to stay in my current position. You don't expel me, correct? The abbot looks at him, looks at you. Your fate will be dependent on what Raj decides. He holds your entire future in his hands. Impress him, not me.
As I said, it depends on how cooperative you are.
Very well. What is it that you wish to know?
Where is the priestess?
I don't know specifically, but I am aware that there was... If I got the message that she had successfully completed her mission, I was to join her at the Pillars of Nicodamus. It's a forest to the north. Your limited knowledge of the geography of this area indicates that the Pillars of Nicodamus are indeed a quite large forest between here and Sidon.
And what did her mission entail?
I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest with you. All I knew was that she had the relic and that she was going to perform a rite with it of some kind.
And what was your mission to assist her?
If anyone came asking questions about what she was doing, I was to employ certain individuals to silence those who were asking questions.
I see.
At this point, the abbot steps forward. You were going to murder anyone that we... What happened to the brothers that we sent out earlier? Are they dead? Utherios looks at him and then looks back again. Venedi is most likely dead, yes. Yes. They are most likely dead. The abbot sits down, rather infuriated, looking at this whole situation. He looks to you.
I believe for your treachery and with the item that I took from you and destroyed, there are many in the afterlife who would be eager to meet you.
But I cooperated. I told you everything you wanted to know.
Yes, and that is what condemned you. Telling us of murdering your own brothers.
He starts to back up very, very slowly towards the door that you know leads to the music room and then out into the gardens. The
grapple.
You're gonna move forward?
I move forward and grapple him. Don't let him go.
All right, give me a grapple check, athletics, if you please.
All right. So I'll use acrobatics for this, and that is 15.
15, absolutely, completely. He's scrabbling backwards. He's still weak. You grab him. He shrieks. The abbot steps forward and crafts this rather intricate sigil in front of him, and looks to you and says, "Say the word, and it is done."
Now tell me, abbot. I am not of the circle of death. I am the circle of life. And
understood.
we do prefer to preserve life, but what are your traditions in this case?
Death comes for us all. Our traditions are how we face it and how we are remembered once death has occurred. What Utherios has done, he will be remembered for a long, long time. But as to whether he lives or dies, that is the hand of fate which guides everything.
All right. I will let him live. I believe we have given him enough to regret for quite some time to come and given him a fear of death. Therefore, leaving him alive will be more painful than his death.
The abbot lets the magic fail. Utherios looks at you. I severely underestimated you. You are truly a wise man. If I could offer anything in exchange for the mercy that you've been so generous in granting, you need but name it, and it shall be yours.
Take me to the priestess.
I will do my best. All I have is a description of a crossroads and a statue that we must make for.
All right. You shall accompany me. I will pretend to be assisting you on your mission for the priestess.
You want me to actually meet the priestess? To set a trap for her, but she might kill me. She will kill me if she discovers the deception.
This is the risk you have to take for what you have done.
The abbot steps forward. I believe that's absolutely fair. A wise decision, Raj. The pillars of Nicodamnos are too far away that there would be any hope that you might recover the relic before the end of the Festival of the Divinities today, but perhaps its restoration by the morning of tomorrow would signify that the divinities have indeed fulfilled the requirements of the circles, and thus order has been preserved. Would you do this for us, Raj? Would you journey to the High Priestess? It is not a task I lightly assign or ask you to do. I can only offer you as much as we can in terms of recompense for your efforts.
Yes. Perhaps some potions of healing. Other than that, I am pretty well equipped for this mission. I think, if anything, that would be the most useful.
You need ask nothing more. It shall be done. He goes to a book stand in his study, and he lifts up quite a heavy tome, and underneath you can see the book stand itself. There's a very beautifully carved inlay, which he gently presses on. There's a faint click, and it opens out a small compartment. And from that compartment, he takes a very small box. It's quite purple in colour. And he opens it up, and inside you can see this ring. The ring is made out of a very pearlescent-like substance. And he holds it out to you. This is an artifact which has been in my family for quite some time. I used to use it in my youth, but now that I'm ancient, so very old, at the age of 67, I'm 61, I should say. I'm so old, so very old, that I don't need this ring anymore. It might provide you with some benefit. It will channel the first incantation or spell that you funnel through it on a daily basis. It will make it more powerful, if you take my meaning.
Yes, that could be very useful, yes. Thank you.
Very well. He rings a small bell on his desk and one of the acolytes comes rushing in. Pradley, bring the healing potions for Raj. Make sure that he has them. He will need several, I would imagine. Pradley disappears, and a few moments later he comes back. He has a very small leather satchel, and inside he has 4 of the healing potions that he will give to you. Each healing potion will restore 2d4 plus 2 hit points.
All right. Then we must be off as soon as possible if we are to return by the morning. Let us go.
I don't have any means of transportation. You suggest we all walk to the pillars of Nicodamnos?
You shall ride with me on my horse.
Excellent. And so you leave the temple with your potions and the ring. The ring, just to be absolutely clear, when you channel a spell, any spell through that particular ring, the DC for that spell is increased by 2.
Okay.
Yeah, just so that you know. There is an inscription on the outer band, but it appears to be written, do you... Oh, that's an interesting question. Do you speak Fey?
Sylvan.
Oh, you speak Sylvan. Okay, that's close enough. Some of the words you can make out. It seems to be a band that the inscription upon it seems to be quite an old version of Sylvan at the very least, and it speaks about a single circle can save the universe.
Wow.
That's what it says on the band, yeah.
All right. Go to meet Kinvar.
Yeah.
Tell Alexei he's going to have to stay behind for this mission because I am pretending to be the servant this time. But Alexei, you may stay here in this temple. They will look after you.
I suppose I could try and... There are no docks, but I could try and raise us some more money, if that would help.
That would always be helpful, yes.
He nods. Kinvar looks at you, looks at Utherios. Why do the two of you smell as if you've been underground?
Because we have been down in a crypt.
Oh, lovely. Where are we heading?
All right, we are headed to the pillars of
Nicodamnos.
Nicodamnos.
Very good. Let's get going. It will take us the better part of the day. I assume you want us to go as fast as possible.
Yes, we need... Time is of the essence.
So it is. Well, you climb onto the massive frame that is Kinvar. Utherios climbs up behind you. He has a very light frame. You know this, you've grappled him a couple times. And Kinvar starts to make his way northeast, following the great road that you were on just this morning, as a matter of fact. And It is quite a long journey. There's caravans passing every now and again. Give me an investigate check, if you please.
Okay. 19.
One of the caravans that you're passing, which is obviously coming from Sidon down to Piketon itself, as the caravan's going past, you hear the driver turn to one of the other passengers and he says, "No, they were clean. Well, I don't know if you'd say they were decapitated. I mean, the top half was missing from the bottom half, so it looked like a whole bunch of horses had died and then a whole bunch of half humans had died. And not halflings, mind you, just the top half of the humans. They'd been cut clean in an half, or in a third. I don't know exactly what the term would be. It was ghastly, absolutely ghastly." And then a few wagons later, there is a woman who is berating her husband. "How dare you let the children have seen that sight? Honestly, it was absolutely awful, completely and utterly awful. I mean, to think that this is the state of the country. Bandits roaming willy-nilly, killing horses and humans, then leaving them just all over the place. I think it's absolutely, absolutely horrid. It's all your fault." As the wagon continues past. You continue riding?
Yes.
It is late afternoon as you and your companions finally arrive at the edge of the pillars of Nicodamnos. The trees stretch up high. They are magnificent, magnificent trees. Gigantic red trunks that are easily 40 or 50 foot in width just stretch upwards, and it's easy to see why these are called the pillars of Nicodamnos. The branches only start about 100 foot up, and when you look up, it is these magnificent cathedral-like ceilings of branches that interconnect with one another, and birds play way up there, but they're so far away that their cries and calls are hushed. And even the wagons that pass beneath these humongous trees seem almost as if they're children's miniatures rather than actual full carts carrying loads. Kinvar stops for a moment. "I think I smell death."
I think that is what we were expecting from what we heard on the road.
Indeed.
Quite a slaughter of centaurs, if I understood what I heard, even though the people who spoke about it did not know what they were going for. But that puzzles me, as the priestess is a centaur herself. Perhaps she is sacrificing her own kind. That is not good.
It is never good when a member of a species sacrifices one of itself. It's not natural. Unless they're territorial, in which case then it's absolutely fine. But I don't think centaurs are territorial, are they?
I do not have enough experience with them to know.
You can give me an Arcana check if you're really interested. But Kinvar starts to make his way into the forest.
I bought the wrong color of these dice.
Oh no.
They're always so hard to read. That's a 19.
You're fairly certain that centaurs, although they are territorial by clan, they're murderous just as any other sentient species is, I suppose. But yeah, you don't think that it's a custom of them to sacrifice their own as they normally would. Journeying into the pillars of Nicodamnos, the light starts to get darker and darker. And although here still at the edge, there is a brilliance that shines in through between the different trunks of the trees, almost like cathedral windows. As you make your way further in, that light starts to change and becomes a very dull, mottled olive grey. and it is a rather solemn place. These great columns stretching upwards, and then this softened silence. The trees themselves have pine needles and make quite a carpet that even Kinvar's great hooves don't seem to make too much of a sound as he marches along them. I am not entirely sure where this fork is. But if she's been killing centaurs, do we really... can't we just say that we tried and we went to where we needed to go and she wasn't there? Perhaps we could carry on riding. I have some little money with me. We could go to Sidon. The abbot would never know.
But I would know, and that is not acceptable to me.
Ah.
So what were you told by the priestess when the time would come that you would meet her?
She was to signal me that the time was ready. Only she hasn't yet signaled. Although she might have, I wasn't in the tomb. That's how we communicated, you know.
So we may have jumped the gun a little bit. But that is all right. Did you recognize anything when you spoke with her? Were you able to see any of her surroundings?
Well, it was definitely she was here in this forest. Now I recognize that. I haven't ever been here before. I must admit, I do find it rather ominous, as a matter of fact. A perfect place for a murder, if ever there was one. You do know that I don't have a weapon at all.
Do you have any priestly magic available to you?
I had used quite a lot of it, and I haven't rested. I have some minor abilities left. I suppose I could heal you if the time is demanding it.
Well, for the most part, you are just here to get me to the door, so to speak. After that, I will let you wait outside.
Oh, thank you. I really did. I really did underestimate you. Kinvar suddenly stops, and this is what you see in front of you: the ripped in half body of a armed centaur. You can see he has emblazoned upon him the symbol of the circle of death, but he does look rather gruesomely hacked open. Let me go to a bigger map for you.
All right. Try and take a look at how fresh the blood is.
All right. You urge Kinvar forward. This is... Do you mean to tell me all of those traders rode past this poor corpse and not one of them stopped to give it the right burial?
Yes, I believe that is the case.
I am afraid to say the more I learn of this civilized world, the more I want to go back to the steppes, to be perfectly honest with you.
I can understand your feelings, my friend.
Well, if it's any consolation, that is definitely one of the priestess's convoy. He might have got wind of what she was trying to do and tried to stop her.
I see.
All the more reason that we shouldn't continue.
But we must. Um, I'm going to get down and just take a look at the body and see if I can see how fresh the blood is. Or
Yep. Give me a perception. Perception. Give me a medicine check, if you so please.
17.
On a 17, as you are looking at this individual, you realize that it looks as if he exploded from the inside. There's a lot of damage to organs in the center of his chest, and a lot of spray around in all different directions. You can give me a religion check, if you like.
14.
It looks as if it's definitely magical. It's not as if he had ingested a poison or as if something inside had burst out. Whatever this was, assuming that it was done by the high priestess, it's probably divine magic.
Do you recognize what kind of spell this might have been?
I do recognize it. The abbot was going to cast it upon me before you spared my life. It is known to our order. Everyone aspires to eventually have control over this. It is an incantation, the recitation of the tenets of the Circle of Death. It causes massive internal organ eruption, if you like.
Is there any way to protect oneself from it?
Have a firm constitution when the spell is cast. Just not that I know of. No, not really. It is usually used as a right upon those who need to be executed or who are dying and need to be put out of their misery. Apparently it is almost instantaneous and you don't feel anything because everything stops at the same time. I guess this was just left as a warning, perhaps.
All right, let's see if we can find any tracks leading away from this body.
As you say that, I need you to roll initiative for me, if you please. Ooh.
Okay.
I realise my pen has gone walkabout again.
18.
18. I got a 19, so just ahead of you. They're going first. I will have to look for my pen at some point. Otherwise, I'm just going to ask chat to keep track of stuff for me. But yes, you get an 18. They're going first. So out of nowhere, this arrow comes sailing out towards you and the corpse. That's not flat. That's flat. It misses you. But you are now aware of an individual who's standing behind you, just in the edge of your vision, who has a bow and has fired, obviously, at you. They very quickly reload and fire a second time, and miss completely. What are you doing?
Can I see this is what kind of creature this is?
Yes, so as you spin around, you realize it's a heavily tattooed elf of some description. It doesn't look like the elves that you've met before, the refined elves. This particular individual looks more like they're from the forests of the continents to the far north, elves that you've had no dealings with at all. He's busy fiddling with his bow. You can see that this last attack that he tried to make, he either did it too hastily or not, or hadn't set up correctly because his arrows have spilled across the ground. What are you doing?
I am going to cast Friends on him.
Friends? Okay.
So for the concentration for 1 minute. I'm just seeing if I'm not seeing any saving throw for him.
You must get
So for the duration, you have advantage on all charisma checks directed at one creature.
Okay. All right. So you have advantage on all charisma checks. Yes.
I'll say in Elvish. Wait, we come in peace. Please do not fire.
Nicodemus is shouting the same thing. It's me, you idiot! It's me! We all work for the same person! I hope. He leans over to you. You realize if these are just common bandits, we have no recourse but to fight.
I am aware of that, yes.
The one picking up his arrows, he glares at both of you. He looks at you. Who do you work for?
And I look at
Utherios. He looks at you. He looks back at the man. Of course we work for High Priestess Abani. Who else would we work for, you idiot? Now lead us to her. I am the master here. Your spell seems to have an effect because the man steps forward, rather chastened. I was not aware that anyone was coming to see the High Priestess. The Dark Visitor is already with her. You are late, then. He smacks you across the back of the head, Raj. Damn you, slave, for making me late. I knew you would hold us up. Well, quickly then. Take me to the High Priestess.
Yes, my lord.
Man nods as well, and he starts leading you upwards. You pass the crossroads, which was supposedly the first marker that you were to get to, and then eventually you arrive a little bit further on. Give me a perception check as you're making your way along this road. There's a broken cart, more signs of violence.
16.
On a 16, you hear... Well, that's an interesting thing. On the 16, you hear a rather interesting chanting, as it were. It sounds as if there is an incantation of some kind being cast. Give me an Arcana check, if you please.
8.
You can't make out the exact words. They're still being hushed and silenced by this dense forest of giant trees. You get to this section here, and the guide points to a small footpath that leads off the road. It's almost too narrow for Kinvar to maneuver successfully. I think, slave, that the horse and I will stay here, and you could go on and tell the mistress the message that you must give her, the critical message.
Yes, my lord, as you command.
Right. Good. Go. Are you sure? Says Kinvar.
As sure as I can be, yes.
Do I have permission to snap this insufferable creature's neck if he tries to do anything stupid?
Yes, you do.
Well then, I hope he tries to do something stupid. The guide looks at you and says, you have already missed the main ceremony. I do not see what purpose there would be in speaking with the High Priestess at this moment. But follow me. He leads you around this tree, and quite quickly you lose sight of Kinvar and the rest. There are a few campfires around that signify that there are many in this particular warband. And indeed, as you cross the corner, you see more of these archers lined up. They seem to be paying attention, watching, if you like, something that is happening in the foreground. You continue to approach, and the soft, gentle glow of light starts to reveal itself to you, if you will. I'll just open that up a little bit more for you so you can have a look. This entire area, as a matter of fact, has its own natural light source, so it becomes very, very apparent that there's a large, very old statue quite a ways off of the main road, but this particularly large statue. Standing in front of this statue, there is a woman. She looks really, really old. She's a centaur. The bottom half is this very black coat, very, very graceful coat, but her human half, if you will, is old and dressed in this very, very striking black robe with a high collar. Her grey hair is pulled back and then held in place with these very beautiful golden tines by the looks of things. And she is standing in front of this statue. Next to her is this magnificent white griffin. I'm just changing the color of her token. This magnificent white griffin. And upon that is a rider who you can't see what the nature of the rider is, because from this distance the griffin's wings are raised up. The rider seems to be clouded in black smoke that swirls around and obscures sight. But from where you are, you can see the High Priestess handing this very dark black but highly sculpted orb to the figure on the griffin. The figure on the griffin reaches out with a very, very metalled hand. It almost looks like it's plate mail, but if it is plate mail, then the figure inside, the hand must have no meat upon it, because it's very skeletal metal that reaches out. And as it grips the orb, this magic that has been chanted by the High Priestess is infused or transferred, and you suspect it's what actually allows the figure to grab the orb. What are you doing?
All right. How many archers are there around me? Just these three?
There's the three, yes.
Okay. Anyone on the other side of the clearing?
No, not that you can see.
Okay. And she's just given the orb to the...
Yes, I'll put the rider in here, but just to give you a sense of how big the griffin is that the rider is on, I'll put that there as well. So that's what you can see.
Okay.
That's what you can see.
Okay. How many target?
Good heavens.
Target
if I suddenly disappear, it's because a helicopter has landed inside my building. My gosh, that was low.
Or either that, or it's just the Vorgons come to
finally claim London. Yeah. What are you doing, sir? The archers are all intent and seeing what is happening here.
All right, we're going to try and cause some havoc here. Using the ring, I'm going to channel dissonant whispers.
You focus the ring. Yes.
At level, at second level.
Yes.
At the priestess. So that means she needs to make a DC 15 wisdom saving throw.
DC 15, you say?
DC 15.
All right. Let me just get her stats here. You cast it out. What does this look like? What does dissonant whispers look like?
Again, it's like from the girl from the Umbrella Academy. She says, kind of like, I heard a rumor, and then people start to see things, and so I'm kind of whispering something into the air, and then you see these airwaves going across.
Lovely.
Towards the priestess, because it has a 60-foot range.
She rolled a 3. With her wisdom bonus puts her on 8. So what does happen to her?
Okay, so she is going to take 3d6 psychic damage and immediately use her reaction to move as far as its speed allows away from me.
All right. Roll your damage as your whispers spread across the space.
So it's going to be 9 points of psychic damage.
9 points of psychic damage. All right, lovely. Chat, I don't have a pen with me, so
I get one more d6 because I cast it at a higher level. So 12 total.
12 total. Chat, can you please keep track of the hit points of the High Priestess? She has 12 damage so far. All right, so your whispers reach her ears. She suddenly screams and she runs as fast as she can. Her movement. Is that what you said? She moves her movement away? She's a centaur. She has a very good movement. So she moves 40 feet away. She basically just thunders off into the darkness of the forest in confusion and terror and all those kinds of wonderful things. We now go into initiative, if you please.
That's a dirty 20.
You're going first. The rider on the griffin, I did say it was a griffin, didn't I? An albino griffin. Yep. Yeah, the rider on the albino griffin immediately is starting to pull on the reins. The beast's wings seem as if they're about to start beating so that it might make an escape from this area. The archers around you are all looking from you to the High Priestess who's just charged off. You think that 2 of the 3 have put together that you were standing there, because it's a verbal spell, Dissonant Whispers, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 of them worked out that you were muttering something, and then the priestess ran away, and they could see those wave-like lines. They've worked out that you did it. There's 2 standing closest to you.
Okay.
You have initiative. What are you doing?
All right, so I've got to take, this guy's about to take off, and I've got these 2 guys right next to me. All right, I'm just going to have to start off with my I'm going to have to take a big gamble, and
we like big gambles.
Disengage. Take a disengage action and try and move closer to the griffin.
To the griffin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to let him go.
Disengage is a full action. So are you going to try and go around to the left?
Yeah.
All right. So correct me if I'm wrong, but disengage gets you your 30 feet. I believe. All right. So that was...
and I could...
Yeah, so that's 30.
No, that's... Oh, no, I do still have one last thing.
Yes.
My cat movement. My cat speed, I could use another 30 feet. Since I've taken action, I can't dash.
Yes.
But I can move another 30 feet towards the griffin.
You can get to the griffin.
Okay.
That's it.
But that's all I can do for that turn.
Yes, absolutely. All right, give me a perception check as you get close to this griffin, if you please.
15?
15. The swirling black smoke around the figure who is riding the griffin, it certainly obscures much of him. But you can see that metal hand that has now got the orb in its clutches is actually, it must be some kind of magical appendage, because it seems to blend straight into his actual flesh. He's not wearing a huge amount of armor. It actually looks as if he's wearing the traditional toga that's worn by senators of the capital of Utherios, or by ruling members of the country, and those are sort of fluttering around. But you can see the metal hand. It's very, very much grafted into the flesh of this individual, from what you can tell. But otherwise, you can't see too much. There is, of course, a giant griffin head now that is staring at you with quite murderous intent. There are also some archers behind you that are not entirely sure what to do. The figure on the griffin looks down at you and says in a voice, give me an insight check. Sorry to make you have all of these checks, but you kind of need to go through these in order to get the info.
10.
The voice is it's not very consistent, but it says, you are becoming irritating. And then the griffin attacks. So the griffin is simply going to try and attack you with its beak, and it will do so. It gets an armor class of 17, which I think is a hit.
Is a hit.
Unless you've got something new up your sleeves, which I didn't know about. So there you are. And you take a whopping 6 damage from its beak as it slashes into you. And it chases that up with a claw attack, which thankfully misses on a 12. It kind of slams into the ground next to you. You can see these vicious talons designed for catching cows just embed into the ground right next to you. The archers behind you are circling. They don't want to particularly fire just yet because they're worried about hitting their master or his bird creature thing, which is even more terrifying. That brings us to the top of the round.
All right, that's what I was hoping for. Okay. Witch bolt on level 2 to begin with.
Yes.
At the griffin.
At the griffin. All right.
Yeah. Dirty 20.
Oh, that's a hit. That's a hit. Your bolt shoots out, slams directly into the sternum of this beast.
14 points of damage.
14 points of damage. Okay, chat, I need you to keep track of this one, please. 14 points of damage to the griffin. Your bolt just slams into it, energy pummeling. You can see it spit. The fur is already immediately burnt away, and its flesh is starting to crackle and break under the pressure of this magic. You doing anything else?
No, that's all. Now I just have to maintain my concentration. So,
That's right. So now you just concentrate. The figure on the griffin shouts, "Up! Up! I will not suffer this! Kill him!" He shouts to the archers. The griffin is going to attempt to take off, but because you've hit it for so much damage, the poor griffin is going to give me a strength check here to see if it can launch itself. It gets a natural 20. With two great big beats of its wings, it lifts up and manages to rise up 30 foot into the air, which still puts it in your range of Witch Bolt, I believe. So you're just following
just
that.
barely, yeah.
Yeah, you're following that as it's rising up, these wings beating as hard and as fast as it can. So that's what it's doing. The rider is urging it on. The archers are now free to fire. So there are 3 archers who are going to fire at you. I'm going to use 3 sets of dice here just to speed things along. They fire 3 arrows at you, young Raj. Hopefully they all miss. We get a 7. We get a 17 and we get a 15. So the 15 and the 17 will unfortunately hit. How's Raj doing for life? How's he doing for life?
You guys still have 13 hit points.
Oh, that's plenty. That's plenty. That's fine. You'll be okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, you've just lost 10 as 2 arrows, 1 for 6 and 1 for 4 impact into you. Mechanically, you have to make 2 concentration checks, DC 10, which is idiotic. But anyway.
Oh, made both of them, a 12 and a natural 20.
Ah, perfect. It is now your turn. They've fired. They've fired. Sorry, and then they're going to move.
Okay. Make sure the Witch Bolt does another round of damage first. Sure. So that's going to be another 14 points of damage.
14 points of damage to the griffin.
And so then 26. Try and move to the side of the statue so that I have cover from the archers.
So you're going to try and move sort of here-ish.
Yeah.
All right. As you're doing that, how long does your Dissonant Whispers last for? 1 round?
For a minute.
A minute?
Yeah. So
she runs for a minute. She doesn't get any saving throws at the end of a round.
No, sorry. It's the duration is instantaneous. So, it's not.
Okay.
It was just that one.
I thought that might be the case. All right, now that's fine. As you're moving back to the statue, you can see the priestess is stalking through the forest, trying to suss out what is exactly going on.
Can I also, as a bonus action, drink a healing potion?
I think that is a bonus action. Yes, you can quaff a potion.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, stream, chat. I think you can, as a bonus action, drink a potion. But he does drink the potion by taking the entire bottle and just swallowing the whole thing and then chewing on the glass later. That's how heroes drink potions.
Exactly. All right. So that'll recover me 9 hit points.
Nice. That's going to come in handy.
Yes.
All right. So that's what you have done. The griffin now on that amount of damage. 28 damage. Thanks, chat. 28 damage. It gets a 19 for its strength check. And you watch as the griffin and its rider now get to the point where they're starting to disappear amongst the canopy and the trees. They're at least 80 foot now. So there you go. I see that AK Writer is saying drinking potions is actually an action. In 5th edition, drinking potions is an action. It is an action.
Oh.
It is an action. So there we go. But for now, we're going to say that you drank it because, as far as I'm concerned, the Witch Bolt is a concentration, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, so whilst you're concentrating, it's easy to pop a cork and down the potion as far as I'm concerned. So there we go. That's what we're going to do. Thank you for the information, though, on the rules. I do appreciate it. I always thought it was a free action or a bonus action. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Moving on. The archers, this archer here can no longer see you, so they are forced to move. I'm actually going to move this token completely off the map for now. This archer is going to go 5, 10, 15, 20 and swing around that way and point at you. This archer can just fire straight at you. This archer can't see you, so he's got to move 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then you hear the sound of this centaur priestess slowly riding in behind you. The three archers, the one that was your guide with his short bow, he's going to fire at you. That's a 13. No, not 13. I tell a lie. It's a 12. So that's a miss. His second shot. Okay, that's a 16. That is a hit. For 2 damage. For 2 damage. Thank goodness. Then the other 2 archers. They are firing at you with their longbows. They only get 1 attack each. A 13 doesn't miss. Doesn't hit, but a 19 does hit. So that was 2 damage. This one delivers 7 damage.
Okay.
And from behind you, you hear the priestess, and she says, I am very displeased. And with that, she will cast a spell which requires you to make a wisdom save DC 13.
Okay.
From behind you, you hear, by the circle of death, I command you to be still.
15 minus 1 is 14.
Oh, just enough to not be affected by her spell. She snarls, insufferable creature! I will have you yet. That's what she shouts. Back to you.
Okay, now because I already had 1 round where I did not move out of the way, so I can down another potion.
Right.
So there's another. Oh, good. At least I'm rolling these a little bit better.
Yes.
That's covering 9 hit points.
Oh, nice.
And
how long you can keep this up for, though? Yeah.
running back out.
Yeah.
The way I can, going around behind the statue if I can,
yes,
squeeze
5,
through there,
10, 15, 20.
and so 60 feet straight towards Kinvar.
20, 25, 30. Are you going to try and use the trees for cover?
Yes.
35, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Are you calling out? This is how far you get, by the way. Going around the back.
Yes. Kinvar, here I come.
That's what you're shouting. From
Yes.
behind you, there is the shout, get him! And of course, then there's the running of the archers. So this archer's going to go 5, 10, 15, get to there and fire at you once. Great big longbows drawn, and this arrow sails through the air, gets a 14, which I believe is, unfortunately, your armor class. The arrow thuds into you for 4 points of damage. And you take 4 from that archer. This one is going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and fire at you, also using the longbow. That hits an armor class of 13, so that is just a miss. And then finally, the deadly one, he leaps onto the tree, off the tree, does a somersault between his 2 companions, lands next to them on his knees, and he fires 2 arrows at you at the same time. That's just description. It's not mechanically what's happening. But he fires 2 arrows of his short bow at you. Both arrows sail out. Natural 20 on the one and a 3 on the other one. So the natural 20 embeds itself into you. Hopefully, come on, these easy roller dice. Let's be kind. Let's be kind. And that is okay. So it's for 6 points of damage.
Total?
Yeah, total. So it was a three doubled. So it's six.
All right.
Points of damage. You still standing?
I still have 2 hit points left.
Yes! 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Because thundering out into the clearing is the old centaur woman again. She's snarling and shouting at you. Again, she reaches out with her hand, and this time she says, I command you to stop! Give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
17.
Again, her magic washes over you, but you feel as if it had no effect. Oh, curses! She screams. I was playing nice. Next time you will die, she says as she continues her forward. You're shouting, Kinvar, Kinvar! And from just beyond your vision, you hear a vague thumping sound, and you see approaching you at speed, Kinvar. There is no sign of Utherios at all, but he is desperately charging towards you. What are you doing? You have initiative, sir.
All right. How far away is he? Is he within 30 feet?
Oh, yeah. He's 15 feet away.
Okay. I run and jump on him and say, away, my friend. Get out of here.
He wheels about. His initiative, I will roll that. His initiative is another natural 20, so he turns around, and it is not a problem. He canters out the forest, well, down the pathway at maximum speed. So that's 80 feet this round. So he's just gone. You ride past the corpse of the old centaur as well, thundering down. The archers, they can't. Well, the short bow can't do anything. But the one archer, if I move him out, you can't see this, but if I move the one archer out, let's just unhide the whole forest. If I move the archer out, he can sadly still get a shot at you. It's going to be a
I had time to drink a potion.
As you're riding the horse. Well, I suppose it's a movement, and then you have an action. So yes, you do.
All right. So I'll recover another 9. Another 9.
He fires his longbow at you. It sails out. 14, so that's 17 to hit. It definitely hits. Another arrow buries itself in you. This time it's for 7 points of damage.
Okay.
45, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. However, thundering after you at great speed is the high priestess with her hands held wide. But she had to double move, so she can't cast a spell this round. Which is a curious thing, considering it's like, well, yes, I suppose it makes sense, but she has 6 legs. Technically, well, 4 legs and 2 arms, so theoretically she should be able to cast a spell. It doesn't seem to make much sense. But she is rapidly moving in behind you guys. Kinvar looks with his head behind him very briefly. It's difficult for horses to do that, but he just has to turn his head 90 degrees. He sees her behind, he looks ahead. Are we outrunning this beautiful creature of gods? Or are we going to stay and say hello?
Unfortunately, my friend, this time we must leave. Staying would mean the end of both of us.
But such a beautiful way to die, he says as he just starts to dig into his reserves and thunder forward. Eventually she realizes she can't catch up, at least not if Kinvar continues at this speed. Are you just downing potions?
Yeah, just to be safe, the last potion. Only 7 points of healing this time.
All right, now I just need to check one thing, which will determine this. The range of that is okay. It's 30 feet. You are incredibly lucky as you are riding out of the great pillars of Nicodamnos. Behind you, she comes to a sort of a jutting halt, and she throws magic at you. And are you looking behind you, by the way, or are you just hunched down jockeying to get
I'm
as
just
fast as
hunched
you
down
can?
trying
All
to
right.
get out. Yeah.
So this magic swirls behind you, and it gets to within 30 feet of you before it loses efficacy and dissolves into the atmosphere. You burst out of the pillars of Nicodemus. How long are you going to go for? You can feel the great lungs of Kinvar expanding and closing as he's pushing himself to get you as fast as possible away from this site.
As long as he can keep this pace up without exhausting himself.
He goes for another 10 minutes before eventually he slows down to a canter. I think that we've lost her. And indeed, if you look back, you don't see any sign of her. Yeah. You look like a hedgehog.
I feel like one. Thank you, my friend. Once again, you have saved my life. We must return to the city and report to the abbot what we have seen.
Did you at least get whatever it is that we came here for?
No. We arrived just in time to see it being passed to a figure riding on a griffin. I did try my best to damage it, and I actually did quite a bit of damage, but it was not enough.
I'm sure you did everything that was necessary. Right. Oh, by the way, there was a small accident, and that fellow, certainly not as strong as you would have thought human to be. That's certainly true. But he, I'm afraid, didn't make it. Yes.
That is all right. He got what was coming to him.
I don't think he saw what was coming to him because, well, no, never mind. You're quite right. Yes. So, back to Piketon.
Yes, at a comfortable speed for you.
Yes, of course. You continue throughout the night on your journey back to the city of Piketon. You arrive. Do you go directly to the temple?
Yes.
All right. You arrive, and the final ceremony of the divinities has come to an end. It looks like it was quite successful, as far as you can see. There's worshippers all around and the like. You are shown immediately to the abbot. I suppose no luck, considering you've returned, well, looking the worse for wear, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yes. I arrived just as the priestess was handing the artifact to... how to describe it? From a distance, it looked like a shadow or a shade or something, but with skeletal hands. But when I neared this being that was riding on a griffin, he appeared to be dressed as one of the rulers of this land, in the robes of the kind, and he said that I had thwarted one of his plans again. I do not know what he meant by that, but he was not happy at my arrival. But unfortunately, by myself, I was not strong enough to stop him.
So it is as we feared. The High Priestess was working with this agent.
Yes, and she has definitely gone to the dark side. She slaughtered a few of her own kind in the process.
No, that would have been her convoy. Well, firstly, he draws the symbols of death in front of you, and you're fully healed.
Thank you.
Oh, it is nothing. The artifact is lost. The Hierophant has performed all of the duties as we so requested of the divinities last night, and they concluded early this morning. He is resting now, and I don't see any point in waking him, given the fact that there is nothing to report other than that the artifact remains lost. This individual that you speak of, you say he looked like a ruler, some sort of senator of some kind, do you think?
Yes.
I do not know of these affairs. I have never been to the capital myself, so I know we have a representative of Piketon who serves in the Senate, but who that might be, or where they are right now, I couldn't really tell you. The artifact serves no real purpose. It was used millennia ago, or 1,000 years ago at the very least, which would be a millennia ago, I suppose. But they were symbols more than anything else. I don't recall them having very much power. They represented the circle in its entirety. It was said that the sphere was a manifestation of the circle of death, not that it could be used for anything. So why go to all of this trouble? Why all this defection? The High Priestess was venerated for her knowledge on the circle of death. She wasn't powerful, admittedly, in terms of channeling the circles, but her knowledge was almost absolute on the subject. Why throw it all away? The senator, if it is a senator, must have offered her tremendous sums of money or something along those lines. I honestly don't know what else to do other than to say that I thank you for what you have done for us, and to chalk this up as a theft. And, well, I suppose if you're ever in the capital, and the capital is quite a long way from here, if you're ever in Gypthos and you happen to see a senator with the orb, just remember us and bring it back. But I wouldn't task you to travel to all that way to get back a relic, which is no longer needed for this ceremony anyway. So thank you, Raj, for at least settling this matter and bringing to light 2 corrupt individuals within our order. I do appreciate that. I must perform the rites for Brother Venedi, who obviously didn't make it.
And also Optius did. Unfortunately, he did not survive the encounter as well.
Well, I must admit I can't say I'm too unhappy about that. Although your decision was to spare his life, and I believed he had genuinely learned a lesson. Did he attack you? Did he renege on his promise to lead you to the High Priestess, or how did he die?
He did lead me there, but when the confrontation happened, everything happened so fast, so I did not see his end. I just merely noticed his body by the side.
Ah, I see. Well, it matters not. He was a rascal, and there is the end of it. You are welcome to stay here as long as you so choose. What are your plans?
I do need to go back to Pythios and tell the abbot there of what has transpired here. He was the one who asked me to help you here. I also have a friend there.
A good man.
But after that, then we are headed in another direction.
Well, may the circle of death forever be behind you and not ahead of you, as they say. Thank you, young Raj.
It has been my pleasure.
On that note, you get to level up, young Raj, as you survived a particularly nasty encounter. Thank goodness for those potions. Have you got one potion left, didn't you? I think.
I used all four.
You used all
I took
four.
that fourth one just in case, just to be safe.
There you go. Good call. I think a good call indeed. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week. Now, I have been watching the chat to see if those who volunteered to join this group have been in the chat or not. And we were debating how many people to invite to this whole thing. The Kingdom of Utherios is a republic. It is a republic. So there is a senate, and it is ruled over by two praetorians. Not praetorians. Praetors. Praetors. Two praetors who rule Aegyptos. There's also a king, but he's very much honorary king as well. So it's a legacy type of thing. So we're debating how many people should we invite to join the group. We were looking at what's manageable versus the time frame of an hour and a half. And so what we have decided to do is increase the party size by 3. So we chose the first 3 people that shouted out to be part of the process. If they can't, then the next 2 people would then step forward, hopefully, and take that position. And so the first 3 people, if you are watching, it is Crit Fiddle. That's the name that was used in Discord. Crit Fiddle was the first to jump forward, then AK Writer, and then Churunga. And then if those 3 cannot make these sessions, stepping up behind them would be Sheena Tiger and then Draco Vale. So there you are. We feel that 4 people will round us out quite nicely. It won't slow things down too much. We still will only play for an hour and a half because I think it's a good time frame. And I'll be reaching out to everybody on Discord that has managed to get the invite, I should say, and then we can take it from there. Now, as to next week, what will be happening next week? Something will be happening next week. I just need to work out the nitty-gritty with the new folk that will be joining us and figure out exactly how we are going to do that. I do have something in mind, which I think could be quite fun, but I will have to see what happens. So until next week, thank you all for watching. I will do my dissection of the session, as I usually do, straight after this, or in about 5 minutes' time or so. So if you stick around for that, that's what you'll get. But it does contain spoilers. So be aware that there will be spoilers for upcoming sessions, and how adding people to the campaign is going to change things, and how I'm going to try and add them in a seamless way is what I will be talking about tonight. So Brian, thank you so much for playing. Thank you for the one-on-one game. I think it's been really cool so far. You've uncovered a few little bits and pieces about something that's going on, especially what that shadowy figure said to you.
Right.
So there is that, and who knows what's going to happen. So yes, Brian, we'll chat via email, and until then, thanks to you for playing, and thanks to all of you for watching, and I will see you all for post game in a few minutes. Right, I'm back. Sorry, I didn't realise the counter had ticked down, and I was, well, getting a fresh cup of coffee, as one does. So, what did you guys think? What did you think of that? That near disaster that was one character charging into a group of 5. You know, it's so funny. I will never, ever be able to predict... There's my pen. Sneaky little bastard. Anyway, I'll never be able to predict players. Not as long as I live. It's like, okay, let's go kill the High Priestess. Right, sure, fine. Let's leave all of our allies behind so that it's just us and the bad guy going to go and fight. I mean, it was lovely. It was absolutely lovely. But I wasn't backpedaling. I was nervous though, and I certainly, I had originally planned that there were about, what were they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there were about 9 bandits that had actually laid an ambush further up the road, which Raj never got to. And the plan was that they were going to go and find this ambush, have the ambush, but it was going to be Raj, Alexei, and Kinvar fighting off the bandits. So it was going to be a little bit tough, but not too difficult. They only kind of had one attack and that sort of thing. Exactly how many lives does Raj have left? I think he used one today, to be perfectly honest with you. That the use of the witch bolt, I know it requires concentration and it takes his action, so he can't actually do anything else with it. But drinking that potion, that really was me giving him a get out of jail free card. I think so. And I don't mind doing that. He went in way over his head, and to have ended the games because of that, I don't think that would have worked out so well. So yes, his dissonant whispers going off against the High Priestess, that was fantastic. I had actually created, and you know, this is the funny thing, is that whenever I create a character sheet for an NPC, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stat this out, I'm going to get the character block and all that kind of stuff ready. Inevitably, the PCs either one-shot the character or they just I don't know, they circumnavigate them somehow. And this was exactly the same case. I mean, it was a good call to get the priestess to ride off. She wasn't very high. She was only a level 4 priest. But that was what happened. Was she ran off? Okay, fine. But he didn't get to she didn't get to really engage too much, and then he took on everybody, the Griffin included. Now, I don't know what his goal was. I think he was trying to kill the Griffin, and then he would have faced... Now, that figure on the Griffin, that's the big bad end game. That is the villain. That is our introduction to the nemesis of the campaign. He is the almighty. He really is the great powerful lord who could have snuffed Raj out in a heartbeat. But because he was so desperate to get that death circle artifact, he needed to just get away. And he didn't feel that Raj really posed a huge threat. Oh, he dismissed some high priestess that was bought for money. So, you know, that wasn't too much of a hassle for him. And he knew that there were archers around who could take care of Raj. And because Raj had left Kinvar behind, there was no reason for that. So what I did in terms of trying to manage this entire disaster was the fact that I needed to figure out how Raj could get to where he was going without getting killed before he got there. So with the idea of taking Utherios as his sort of hostage victim thing, that allowed the entire ambush to be dissolved. And so then I said, okay, well, those 9 guards, they've all kind of wandered off, leaving just 3 behind. Because effectively, the showdown that I had in my head was that they would see the Griffin and the Dark Lord taking the orb, see it flying off, so that's an introduction to the never-present nemesis, and then fight the High Priestess and her guards. I had assumed there were going to be more people involved as well, but that's okay. So some of that happened. I just didn't expect Raj to go rushing in and attack the griffin, which was absolutely fine. And then the archers attacking. Most of the archers really only had one attack anyway with their longbows, except for the one who had his 2 shots. And yeah, they cut into Raj pretty heavily, which was fine because he had those healing potions. Now, when he asked for healing potions from the high priest, I went, well, absolutely fine, I'm going to give you 4. That's my kind of default answer, is 4. I gave him that ring because I was looking, and the ring was inspired by the idea of, when I was looking at the high priestess, I'm like, her DC is only 13. That's really low, in my opinion. I wish it could be higher. Could she have a magical item or something that does that? And then I went, well, why doesn't Raj have that magical item? That could be quite fun. So I felt that the abbot was genuinely impressed by his approach to and dedication to solving this whole thing. And so that's where we ended up. And I think overall it was a very interesting space. And yes, I definitely think that Raj owes Kinvar a whole bunch of rewards for the amount of times that Kinvar has been in there. But yes, that's why you have support NPCs, right? Is to get in there and to help people out of tricky situations. So I see Draco saying there that Churunga is not a patron. I thought that they had cleared that up. I thought Churunga had said that they are a patron. Well, we will double check, and let me just go back to that. Oh, I see Crit Fiddle answered that they are. Okay, if Churunga is not a patron, that means that it is AK Writer, Crit Fiddle, AK Writer, and then Sheena Tiger in that particular order. And if Sheena drops out, then it will also be you, Draco. So bear that in mind, all right? I will be reaching out to everybody anyway and just clarifying for that, so don't worry. All right. Let's see. AK Writer said, one nice house rule I stumbled upon is that healing potions restore maximum HP. So with 2d4 plus 2, that would be 10 HP. Yeah, that's not a bad. That's not a bad approach. I do, there is that whole debate, and I know of several GMs who will do this. They won't roll dice. They will just take the average, which is fine, but to a degree, I think that it's, if you're just going to take the average, then you don't need dice at all. Then everything just becomes the average. So your skill challenge, your skill check will just be 10 plus your value, which is not a problem. I don't have a problem with that if that's the type of game that you want to play. So yeah, I do like the idea of rolling, because sometimes you can roll very badly. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I think. So there you are. How do you implement joke encounters? Without seeming overbearing? As in where I know. Just clarify, Featherfail, what you mean by joke encounters. So if you can, let's just do that though. That would be great. So let's see what that. Yeah, and as Lance is pointing out, it does remove the uncertainty, the randomness that dice add to the whole game in the first place, which is kind of why we have them. Although thinking about it, if you did that, you would always know the outcome. To a degree, you kind of know, well, I only have a 9 because I've got -1 to a skill, or I've got a this or that. It could work. Would it make it exciting? I don't know. I do like something that makes it a bit chance-like, because this really is a game of chance, I think, and that's what Raj took, was a big chance. So now he has left that high priestess. He has left her alive, which is an excellent and wonderful opportunity for us to then be able to use later on in our game, and to have her come back wanting vengeance because he made her look bad in front of the Dark Master. So that's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Now, next week's game, there have been some suggestions from you guys as to how to incorporate the next 3 players, whomever they might be. Should they take on the role of Alexei, of possibly Kinvar, and then of what's his name, Zil, the monk? I don't think so. I think what Raj has proven very clearly on multiple occasions is that he doesn't need those other 2 NPCs. So Zil and Alexei can go about their business and go about being background NPCs who occasionally provide support. So I think that's out, because I think it was a good suggestion, but I don't think that's going to work in this particular case. I think that another suggestion that there was that the party are also in the Heroes Guild, and that there is a Heroes question that a Heroes Quest, I should say, that comes along, and that they all kind of join up on that one. We could do that. That's certainly an option. Something that I'm toying with in terms of moving forward is that Raj has indicated that he's going to go back to Pythios. And what happened in Pythios? Does anyone remember what happened in Pythios when Raj first arrived? Now, I have my notebook here, so I remember what happened in Pythios when Raj first arrived. Jeff Williams says, yes. What if the abbot in Pythios has extras waiting he hired for the next mission? Yes, we could do that. I feel, though, it's time... Well, if we look at the original campaign... we now need to move away from the death cult. The next phase of the campaign... which I forget now, but anyway, the next phase of the campaign doesn't have anything to do with the death cult. So I kind of want to get away from the abbot. Ben Nicholson says, was that the shipwreck and the fighting pit? No, that's the very first adventure with the Circle of Life monastery. Pythios, when Raj arrived at Pythios, there was an attempted prisoner rescue, and he intervened in that uncharacteristically. He got involved. Culkin Deathbringer, gang member in Pythios, hates Raj for thwarting the rescue of the prisoner. So Culkin Deathbringer was attempting to rescue Sir Rothmund the Black, who stole the Stone of Life from the Temple of Life in Gipthos. Now, we don't know that. Raj did not find that information out, stole the Stone of Life. But he did interview, yes, Mark Keyworth, the thief he stitched up, Culkin Deathbringer. So, yeah, I suspect that is where our link will be. So, AK Writer, yes, you might be a player. Draco Vale, yes, you might be a player. If Crit Fiddle is watching, they might be a player as well. So that means you don't get to watch these after anymore. You get to sit in the comfortable glow of knowing that we're all talking about you as of next week. So there is that. How this Culkin Deathbringer fits in with that, though, is a different kettle of fish altogether. Are they all hired? Are they? I have a suspicion that I'm going to do a dirty on the crowd, but I'm going to keep that quiet for now. So there is that. So that is the beauty, folks, as far as I'm concerned. When we talk about seeding, by dropping in these random incidents, I had no plan. I had no plan of where I was going with that whole thing, in terms of the heist and that sort of thing. And I had no plan for it afterwards. I just pocketed it. So there is that. There is also, bear in mind, a certain Lord Ulegard. Lord Ulegard, that whole mystery was never wrapped up either. So I could draw something from that. Lady Ulegard comes looking. It's something that we're going to have to look into and see what happens. We could certainly do that. I have another note here as well. Oh my goodness. There was something else that Raj set up in Pythios. That was with Dacia and Kestri, the Tabaxi, who were going to steal the Alexandrite from the gnomish gem trader. So that is something that certainly could be another angle that we bring in to this whole thing in terms of bringing them together. I think that could be quite fun. So let's see, what have we got here? Lance Pickett says, perhaps a group of people that have heard of the prophecy and are determined to aid the promised one in the prophecy. Yeah, look, I mean, that brings to mind the film The Life of Brian. It's like, no, I am not the prophet. It's like, only the true prophet would say he's not the prophet. I don't know if Raj has bought into the entire idea of the prophecy, so we could go that route. Jeff Williams says Raj needs to be humbled. Maybe he should be kidnapped in a position that he needs help. We could do that as well. That's a potential route to go with. Draco Vale, I know you were saying it's a pity that it's only 3 people. Yeah, look, the math starts to get in the way. The more people you have, the slower it goes. So usually when I was doing the D&D streams, we had 5 players, and that went quite slowly. Although we had 2 hours, I always felt that with 5 people you need 3 hours. You really do, because each turn is potentially now 5 minutes of combat. So a single combat round becomes quite lengthy, and you go, it's 4th round, it's 20 minutes just for combat. So if you've got 3 people, then that's 3 minutes, which is significantly shorter. So anyway, that's the thing, or 4 people as this case might be. It still is a little bit shorter. But we'll see. We will see. This is not a dictatorship. It's a game where we all get together and have fun. So we shall see on that one. Okay, folks. That's it from me pretty much. An interesting thing, Berserkers, I do thank you for the blessing that you gave me. Bless me. I had to drop that. It was an automatic. Now, we all know, of course, that during World War II, British spies and things would be caught out by a German sneezing, and the immediate response of the British or the English speaker would be to say bless you, would of course give them away, as opposed to Gesundheit, which is what you should be saying if you are a true German. However, in Japan, you don't say bless you, because there's no kind of real Christian influence at all in that culture, so there's none of the original reason for saying bless you to begin with. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is that you would be acknowledging and singling out the person who had already embarrassed themselves by sneezing in public anyway. So you would be bringing a whole bunch of dishonor to them. So I had to learn to bite my tongue. Every time you'd hear a sneeze or sneeze, you'd kind of go, and then you have to keep quiet. So I love travel. I love world travel and kind of teaching you what's been indoctrinated or not. I do find it very, very, very interesting. Anyway, folks, that's it from me. What do you think of the set, by the way? What do you think of the set? You are literally the first ones to see it. It's not finished yet, but it's a work in progress. But what do you think in terms of instead of the green screen? Do you prefer the green screen or do you like the set? We're trying to keep in vogue with what all of the other YouTubers are doing, which is to have your set background. I still need something to fill in this gap here. It irritates the hell out of me. Green screen be damned, says Cleaver or Clever or Threever. DM Stretch says like the set. That's good to hear. Thank you. Dennis Perry says, I like the glimpse into the real world. Yes, I've been very lucky, folks, let me tell you, with my move into the new place. Very, 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 very lucky that you can't see it, but next to me is my gaming table for my round the table game that I will start once this COVID has finished. And I must admit, I am looking forward to that. I really am looking forward to that when COVID is done. But anyway, that's a different story. Thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you all for your comments, your suggestions, and certainly for your support. It really does mean a lot to me. I hope you enjoy watching these shows as much as I enjoy playing in them. You forgot your bust showing your wisdom. You know, that's the funny thing. It's like I've got helmets, but I don't actually have a bust. I have a bust of my own head, which is sitting in my mother's garden. That was the weird thing. I mean, it was done for special effects makeup for a film, and it weighs about 32 kilos because it's from here. So it is a proper bust made out of cement, dentistry cement, not just building cement. So it weighs a ton. But when I left South Africa, I was like, well, I can't take this to Japan. It weighs my entire baggage allowance. So my mother said, no, I definitely want to keep it and put it in the garden. So there's this bust of me in the garden of my mother. It's like, I'm not sure entirely what message that's sending, but anyway. And yes, I do have that infernal red wig. I actually found the original one that I had from the States as well. So yeah, I've now got 2 red wigs, as a matter of fact. Anyway, all right, we will see you guys on Saturday for great GM live sessions. So check that out. This Friday is the new, is the next video. We'll be talking about creating memorable NPCs using some very awesome new software. And there is a new Kickstarter that's coming out. I'll give you a sneak peek because these are amazing. Now, this is not Easy Roller Dice. This is a new company that reached out to me. And this is what they are offering. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Sort of. Look at these. These are metal. With the most amazing, intricate design on them. But the numbers are still legible, folks. I mean, they sent me this set about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I have had to sit very quietly on them. So there are a whole bunch of options, right? But let me tell you, these retail for almost the same price that plastic ones retail for. The price is very, very, very low. So there's shiny ones, and they sent me 2 sets. This is the burnt option, where, come on, focus. There you go. You can do it. It looks as if it's been in a fire for 1,000 years. I think I describe it in the video as coming straight from Avernus itself. This charcoal, and you'd expect it to rub off, but it's not. It's hard. Anyway, so you've got a sneak peek of these coming through. They're really heavy as well. They're slightly larger. They are larger than a normal one. I'm not trying to sell you on these. I'm just showing you what these dice are. They're really, really, really cool. And it's a new dice company, so I always like that when you kind of get new companies saying, "Hey, we've just done a startup and we're doing this, we're doing that." So. Yeah, absolutely. AK Right, I agree. Now, the one, I think this one, you can read fairly clearly. Now, the dice, by the way, there's an option where you can paint your own. So on the Kickstarter, I've had the privilege. It hasn't launched yet. It's only launching on Friday, but I've had the opportunity of seeing their Kickstarter page. There's a set that you can actually paint. And you should see what they're doing. So the company, I'm not going to give you the name of the company. I'm going to give you the name of the dice. The dice are called Endless Dice. They're not yet, like I said, they haven't launched anything yet. This is their inaugural launch. The company name is awful. They're a company based in in China, and I think it's awful. But that's because I have a silly mind. But it's what is it? It's. You just heard, did you hear that? That insufferable creature known as Bixby on my phone just started up when I wasn't saying anything. I didn't give a command word. It just... I tell you, folks, this is getting to the point where I'm like, I'm going to go back to my old phone that didn't have it. Anyway, yeah, the name of the company is Kakapo. Like I said, it's they're trading under Endless Dice, and I think that makes much more sense. So there you are. Someone at the NSA is wanting to be a better DM. Well, maybe, but I don't know. I think they're just trying to drive me mad or make me paranoid that people... Anyway, so there you are. Yeah, the haircut, thank you for the comment. It's supposed to be kept flat, because when it starts rising up, I start looking like a cockatoo, and that's absolutely awful. So it's supposed to be kept flat, but it's dried out in the course of the session. And this is what happens when I get left alone with hair clippers. Anyway. All right, so folks, I say good night, goodbye, so long, farewell. We'll see you on Friday for the regular recorded episode where you will get all the details on these super cool dice, and then we will see you on Saturday for live sessions with a GM. Until then, of course, I wish you and yours the very happiest of